Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 92. We're over in Penrith, in it's a beautiful part of the country, isn't it, Keith?
Yeah.
And we're joined by Keith Farmer. Is it 4 times British champion?
Yeah.
Got that one right. How's it hanging? How's things?
Yeah, not
That's
too
a bit
bad.
personal straight off the bat.
Funny, actually, in work, someone asked me what's the length this weekend, and I'm like, it was to do with work, by the way. But yeah, we were talking about something in work, obviously, and we have a work group, obviously, to put everything out, so everyone's in contact with each other. And Michael goes, "What length, Keith?" And no one has a laugh on it. And I was like, "That's a bit forward, isn't it?" And they didn't see the funny side of it, obviously, but yeah.
So you don't work with anyone with a sense of humour, then?
Some people, but
touching a nerve.
What do you do for work?
I work for a digger company, but they're massive. Like, we have 100 people on ground, and I counted the other day. We've actually 51 machines, like just excavators. Then with like track dumpers, and with 8 wagons or something like that. So,
bloody hell.
So is it like massive construction sites and stuff?
Yeah, like we work all over. Like, one of the jobs was just to put that out there was when the bomb was fetched from the River Thames.
Oh yes,
that was our machine that took it out. One of our drivers. So
was he on double time at that point, going shit?
He'd want to be.
Yeah, I couldn't be the ground person on that one. I couldn't trust myself. I'd be behind him going, boom.
Yeah. And so, do you work the digger machine?
No, bits and pieces, but mainly in the yard, just like cleaning, tidying yard, cleaning machines, just a bit of general maintenance, just looking busy.
So how many people at work know that you're 4 times like British champion? Do you just drop that in on a Christmas day or something like that? You know what? I am the man.
Yeah, like most people know, to be fair, but there's a lot of new people that I don't see. And
do you remind them?
No, like to be fair, it's the last thing you want to do. Is I love talking about motocross bikes, and I could talk about motocross bikes all day. But when people say about what you do and this and that, I don't tend to go, oh yeah, I race bikes. It's just it's not for me. I like to go to work.
I suppose.
We actually had Keith on the podcast it was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if, I'll stick that in the description, so if anyone wants to go back and listen. But that was when we were doing them over Skype, and we've since then we've had the studio and everything, and we were just talking about it before we came on air. But we're actually burgled. The studio was broken into. I keep it in like a secure storage yard.
Right.
Not very.
And yeah,
Obviously burgled, mate. You know what I mean?
Not in Penrith, that. Yeah. Penrith's a nice place.
And I went to collect it last night, and late on I was with my little niece, and I always get it hitched on, and then I check the doors and stuff, and I walked around the back, and the door was all the way open. There was a hammer on the floor with the lock smashed off.
Oh, at least they left you the hammer. I didn't realise they left you the hammer.
And the place was just upside down. Luckily, we did have a few things stolen, but we keep the cameras and the recording equipment stuff at home. So we can still do the podcast, but it's just,
if there was a bunch of kids really, really hyper around the Anfield playing area of County Durham, they did nick a crate of Rich Energy from us. Like a full-on 24 rack of energy cans, so they'll be absolutely bouncing around the place.
It's quite interesting as well, because we had a crate full of Batham's beer, and we had a crate full of Rich Energy, and they took the Rich Energy and left us the beer.
So not too bad then. So they're either 11, 12. They switch on really early, criminals in County Durham. They're proper switched on very early on, and they're like, which one's full of sugar? Let's go for that. So we're pretty much going to blame you for this, Keith. You know what I mean? You're a bad. No, I'm only joking.
Now, I think we'll cover this on the last one. Penrith is obviously near where your old team boss Paul Bird lives. Is it Langwithby? And I presume from your original homeland, it's the sort of link with Paul Bird that sort of brought you to Penrith.
Yeah, when I moved over, I think I moved over to England in 2012. I lived in Northampton for 8-10 months, and then lived with a bird down there, and then moved back up when we fell out, and I just stayed here. Moved in with Paul, to be fair, in his house. Say his granny flat, but 3-story granny flat. It's quite big, to be fair. But yeah,
champagne getting served in the morning. Say, bloody granny flat.
it opens your eyes, to be fair, living. But you know, it's one of the things. He's the top bloke in the paddock, and he does the job right. But yeah, he still keeps me motorhome and everything for me. So
fantastic.
you know, anytime I go up and I see him, you know, proper crack, him and his dad, he's all right. So yeah, it's all right.
And is the where you keep the motorhome? Is that where the chicken farm is?
Yeah, it's literally chicken farm. You drive not through the chicken farm, but to the side of it, and then down. Air ambulance and everything's there as well.
I've been in a chat show before with Paul, and I'm sure he's told us how many chickens like a week they go through.
Is it 100,000 or no? I think he's extended his line, so it was 100,000 chickens a week, but I think it's 120 or something now.
Bloody hell, imagine
a week,
that.
And they're all his own too. They grow and everything, you know, themselves, so it's no outside.
It's a massive sort of production line, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Dom's looking like.
Sorry, I'm a very visual person. I can just see him opening the windows in the morning, just 200,000 chickens again. You're all fucked.
I remember he was originally talking about it because he was saying no matter how bad a day you're having, if you go into the big chicken things and sit, and it obviously stinks and there's like hundreds of thousands of them there, then you realise your day isn't so bad.
When I first was it rid the Superbike? No, I think when I rid the Superstock for him, and then he put me on the Superbike and he walked me through the factory, and he goes, you know, the chicken factory, because I'd never been in there before, and he goes, if you keep crashing my Superbike, this is what you'll be doing. And honestly, it was not clever at all. Like I don't like anybody else's puke shit. No, I don't even like my own. But like to see that was raw. Like fair play to the people that work in there. Like
and. Did Paul start helping you in Stock 600 and then you won the title in Stock 1000 together?
Yeah.
Weirdly, we were just talking about this earlier, and Steve Brogan used to be my coach at racing. And if you ever go back and watch your first ever Superstock 1000 win,
that was a good race.
It's at Brands Hatch in the wet. And I think you'd qualified something like 30th or something, like way back on the grid. And then you came through, won the race by like a comfortable margin. And if you watch the race interview afterwards, Steve's on the podium and he goes, yeah, it's a great race. And fair play to the lad that won. Some ride. He didn't know your name. He didn't know your name at the time. And you came through and just annihilated the whole field.
Yeah, it was good, like, because in pre-season testing, you know what it's like. First time I ever did 1,000, I jumped on a Superstock 600 the year previous, and I obviously came over and won it, but like I never really knew properly how to ride a bike, do you know what I mean? Because I was always on motocross, supermoto. So to transfer to 600 and then learn all the tracks in 1 year and win it, and then ride for Birdie, the top team in the paddock, and I was like, what?
Sink or swim, yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of them. I don't like ever finishing second, so you try your hardest, do you know what I mean? And I think I qualified 24th because there was that many Stock 1000 riders. Qualifying was split into two, so whatever happened within the qualifying, one session was dry, one was wet. So instead of taking the top 20 times, or you know, just like that, they done Group 1 got. Whoever was quickest in Group 1 got pole position, whoever was quickest in Group 2, you know, and so on.
Like odds and evens.
So I was 12th in my group, but then I ended up like 24th or whatever. And to come from that and to win, it was like, you know, couldn't believe it. And then I think I won round 2 as well, at Fruxon, was it?
Yeah.
And I had a mega race, to be fair, because in the dry, I didn't expect to go so quick in a sense, but to end up battling, I think the safety car saved me a little bit, to be honest, in that one. And then to come back, and an old supermoto trick, to be fair, Steve Brogan went down in that one actually, and it was one of my old team bosses that I rid for in supermoto, and he caught me out one day, and he says, whenever someone comes up the inside of you and you're leaning on them, don't keep on leaning on them, you know, keep leaning on them until it goes light. And as soon as it went light, when Steve Brogan was pushing me, I just lifted, turned back in, and he went down. It was like proper supermoto trick, to be fair, but it works.
So you knocked him off.
In a sense, but he was on the inside of me and he still fell off, so yeah.
DL. And
which quarter was this on then?
Last turn.
At which track?
You've never been at Fruxon, have you? Thruxton's the fastest UK track, short circuit track.
So you decided to develop supermoto techniques at the world's fastest track. Yeah, why not, son? Why not?
All the action happens at that last chicane, and for most UK tracks, they're on old parks and like the sort of second, third gear. Thruxton's like really wide, and it's basically just flat out all around the back. So by the time you get to that last chicane, you're still doing like 50, 60 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like at the TT, when you get to like a slow bit, like the hairpin at Ramsey or something, because you've been going so fast, it makes the slow stuff feel even slower, and that's what it was like at Thruxton. But looking back on that, it's mad really when you think going from winning stock 600 straight away and then jumping up winning stock 1,000 first time, and crazy really.
Yeah, I don't think of it now really. Do you know what I mean? At the time, I just wanted to win races. I didn't have the mentality to think, right, I need to start stringing this together or be sensible about it. I just literally wanted to win races.
If you could go back now, would you change that attitude, or would you just keep doing what you're doing?
No, I wish I could keep that attitude now, to be fair.
Right.
Because I probably think over far too much now. Whereas then I was just like, right,
just letting you
win the race, do you know what I mean?
Natural riding ability.
And instead of now, I think of everything. In racing, especially the year I rode Superbike for Birdie, my head was mashed because I was overtraining, couldn't sleep at night, because I was literally could not stop thinking about the job, because obviously I wanted to do the best. I'd gone from stock 6, stock 5, 1 to 2, going to Superbike, teammates to Shaky Byrne, and all of a sudden, I'd put Shaky off in Q2, not put him off track, but put him off pole position in was it Brands Hatch, I think? I qualified him in Q2 because he let me follow him, and then in Q3 he wouldn't let me follow him anymore. And then obviously the whole crash thing started, but yeah, it was, everything happened too quick. I wish,
right,
not only that I hadn't tried so hard, but I think I wish I'd preferred to stay another year in stock 5.
I know I shouldn't. What age were you with this Superbike jump?
I only started at 22 in Super Stock 600, I think. So it was 23 in 2011, I think. So it would have been 24, 25. 25,
that's a huge.
Everyone's desperate to get to superbikes, and I guess I'm in a similar position where I'm kind of wanting to get to superbikes, and the right opportunity just wasn't there. But I guess so looking at it from the other side, you wish that you hadn't rushed so quickly.
I think my career could have been a whole lot different now if I had have took my time. You know what I mean? If I hadn't have been, probably my worst enemy was to go out and, in a sense, win things. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because as you win, obviously Birdie seen the kid,
turn up, and
because everyone said, the fella that looked after me, Darren Gawley at the time, said, come to Oulton Park, was it round 3 or something like that? Oh, this kid's good, and I'm sure Birdie's heard that all before, as everyone does, and turned up, got put off track on lap 1 or something like that, and then came back to win the race, and Birdie was like, right, proper interested, and
his little
all
job.
Of a sudden started looking after me, won the stock 5 for me year after, went to Superbike, showed potential, but just it wasn't consistent enough. Do you know what I mean? And when you have a teammate like Shaky that was winning, our first, second or third, week in, week out, every single session was first, second, third, and then to go from this kid that shown potential but was cost me an absolute fortune in destroying bikes, well, you're only going to kick him off, aren't you? I'd do the same now, to be fair.
which is a total fair comment, isn't it? But
I've just listened to listened to Shaky's autobiography. You know how you can listen to books on Amazon Audible. It was a really, really good book. Thoroughly enjoyed. I started it on a run one day, and I ended up finishing it a few days later because I was just listening to it all in all my free time. And it was a really good sort of honest account of his life, and obviously a lot about riding for Paul and all that type of stuff. What was he like as a teammate? Obviously you mentioned the fact he let you he told you early on, but was he helpful?
Yeah, he was, to be fair. Even in stock 5, when I was not just a teammate, but there was him, Ratboy Sturdeson, and then me on the stock 5, and he proper helped me, to be fair, because I was literally just getting on a bike and riding it, trying to override it, etc. And not to say the competition wasn't strong then, but it probably wasn't maybe as strong. Do you know what I mean now? Whereas now, like every class is like so competitive, and I think you could get away with maybe overriding a bike back then, and and getting away with things like that. But I don't think you could get away with that now. To come in as a complete privateer and win a championship, it's not very heard of now.
Do you think it's possible now? With the depth that you're talking about now with British,
it is possible, but just like the money to take to do it right, you know what I mean? You need to be firing tires at it. You need to, your bike needs to be consistent. You need to not be crashing, and it's so difficult, and everything's getting harder, obviously, with the circumstances.
It seems in a short period of time as well. Like,
well put, by the way.
Not long ago, I remember a top of the range sports bike was kind of in your sort of 10,000-11,000 bracket.
Yeah.
And and all the manufacturers had the that sort of range.
Yeah.
I remember like going to Westgate Road as a kid and like going up and down, and like there was, do you know what I mean? You're looking at around sort of 10, 11, and then it's gradually
then you're thinking, I can't afford that. You know what I mean?
It's gradually stepped up, but now all of to start with the Superstock bike, they're all, the new Kawasaki's 25, 26, BMW for the M Sport is 35, I think. You're looking all of the top bikes because you get like the standard bike, like for example with the Kawasaki, you get the normal ZX10, which is like 12, 13 grand or something, but then there's the red top engine, like the race version, which is you're adding on like over another 10 grand, but it's the same for all like the BMW, all of them,
the same.
and you just think to build yourself a race winning Superstock bike now, it's some serious money.
That's the thing, and to be fair, like look at Superstock, like you guys last year, even over this last 3-4 years, well, even longer, like Stuart Higgs has a proper situation on his hands, because Superstock riders, not to say they're worse or slower, or the caliber is everywhere in every class now, and you look at the times, there ain't that much difference in times on average from a superbike of like a Superstock will still cost 35-40 grand to build, and you go to a superbike which 100-120
on the top high.
Is that what sort of money they are?
Yeah,
it will be
easy.
Easy.
But I wouldn't think birdies would be that, but you know what I mean. But if you were to build a Suzuki, I would imagine you'll have no change out of at least 90 grand. I don't think.
And Suzuki's probably the cheapest.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, you would. Yeah,
and good bike. Don't get me wrong, but when they're spending all the money in the MotoGP, the production bike suffers a little bit. Mm-hmm. But still a good all-round package, and still wins races, so it's still good. But it's just crazy the amount of money that it takes.
Yeah, crazy. And I think that when we last had you on, I think you just finished a spell with Tyco, and you'd been injured. You broke your leg at Knock Hill.
Yeah.
And I think when we had you on, it was like the end of that season or something. Like you'd missed that full season.
Right.
You're coming out of rehabilitation at this point. You rebuilt your 250 motocross bike. You were starting to get back on with that. No, I remember the whole thing.
I remember, And just to recap, so you started with the Taz team, the BMW.
So got both his legs.
It was actually a real strong start of the season. It was it wasn't the bike now, but it was like a new BMW back then. You and Christian were both around about the same. I think you were like 5th and 6th most like sort of races and stuff, and it was, if there was one time where a big injury, you could have done it without, like I know it's like sort of stating the obvious, but you'd sort of got into a good position, and you were nice and like not trying to win every race, but just banging consistent results in, and I mean,
it's one of them. Like I think ever since I've had my little girl Chloe, with my partner Sam, like my attitude and everything changed towards racing, and I became quicker, but just less, a lot more relaxed on the job, and it's difficult, isn't it? Like I had a crash at Donington, or 2 big crashes at Donington on the superbike for Tyco, and they hurt, but I got away with them. Do you know what I mean? But
I remember seeing you in the med centre actually that morning.
Hell, that hurt.
Is that coming out the chicane? That was humongous. It's on slow mo on Eurosport now and then, and you just watch
I still see it, and I'm like,
that was
huge.
huge.
Do you get Highside dreams, by the way?
Yeah. So,
Excuse me?
Do you get Highside dreams?
No, road races, we get wall dreams.
wall dreams.
No, seriously, that is a thing. Like,
I'd love the Highside dream. That would be lovely.
Virtually everyone I know that is, like, does track days or race has Highside dreams, and it's basically where in your dream you're on your bike and you're riding, and then that's that feeling you get just before. So when you know that it's gone wrong, but you're just about to hurt yourself, and you wake up and you're like,
it's horrible. Like, I remember that crash. Do you know what I mean? And because was it Christian had passed Hickey, so then Hickey had run wide, so I cut the chicane back to get a good drive out, and because then I cut the second curb at a different angle, and it just spat me out of the seat, and honestly it felt like I was in the air for like 10 seconds, and I was like,
no mate, that was 10 minutes on slow-mo.
Honestly. And I just knew straight away that fucking hell, that was going to hurt.
Loads of people. To be fair, Brooksy had a massive one that weekend.
He did. What suits do you wear? You're an RST man, aren't you?
Was
You got a new flavour. Who are you with? Can you announce? Go on.
4SR leathers.
4SR. Now, do they have? Were you in an airbag suit when that happened? Then
no, I don't think that was 19. They only come out in 20.
It's 4SR. Is that something to do with Dean Ellison?
Yeah,
I've seen him.
Have they gone down the airbag route yet? Right, there we go then. So look at you watch the lap times now. You watch an airbag suit. Let's have a portion.
And an airbag suit last year didn't make me any faster.
There we go. Then there we go. Oh, so anyway, touching on the families. How old is your little girl now?
4.
4. So was that like an immediate attitude change? You know, you're saying you felt calmer, you're feeling calmer, you're getting faster, which is great. But was that like?
I think it took the whole thought process out of my head. Like I said before, like when I was Birdie and that, and not nothing to do with Birdie, just me in general, trying to be the best person that I could be for a superbike, and just overthinking the job way too much, putting in a sense far too much effort in, because I lived with Birdie, I had no bills to pay, so I didn't work. Only helped out with the bike. Obviously fixed it a lot of times, to be fair, but yeah, I'd literally nothing to do, so all I done was eat, sleep and train and ride motocross with Brad Anderson and just train and rid motorcycles, do you know what I mean? So whereas when Chloe came along, I was just like, go to the track, do my riding and come away to the motorhome, and you forget everything. Do you know what I mean? Because you've your little one and you concentrate, like, even if it was a bad session and you were like, you knew you were riding shit, you came away and it was forgot about. So you went to the garage again to ride your bike, and it was like a complete new session or day, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it changed a lot.
Just going back to that situation when you were living at Birdie's and stuff, if you could speak to yourself back then, I know you said you were, like, say, overtraining and things like that, but given the same opportunity again, you probably would be training just as hard, type of thing. What advice would you give yourself back then that you really wish somebody had just said to you?
Just to go out and ride the bike and relax. Do you know what I mean? And not in a sense,
that must be. I tell you what, we hear this all the time from loads of riders. I hear it, he hears it, but switching that off.
It is hard, to be fair, but I was always sent out after Shaky. Follow Shaky, do you know what I mean? And that was one of my worst things, in a sense. Maybe me, at the time I was like just eager to go fast, and if I had in a sense what PJ Jacobson done, he started with Taiko Suzuki, that was that year, and he started slowly, and by the end of the year he was battling for podiums, you know what I mean? And I think if I had to change my thought process to sort of, catch a monkey, slowly catch a monkey job, I think we could have been in a different situation, but I wouldn't change out. Do you know what I mean? No. I had great opportunity, best bike in the grid, and I give it all I got, but and I showed potential, but I just crashed a lot.
So it's one of those things.
You can only try.
No, hey, that's it. You're not wrong. What is PJ Jacobson doing now?
Just American. Is he doing flat track or something now?
He's not doing Moto America.
Maybe he is.
Who's that? Another American who went to flat? He was 600 rider.
James Rispoli. He's doing flat track now.
Is he?
Yeah. He's back flat tracking.
Right. I hear there's mega money in it. Have we talked about this on the show?
I think you can scrape a living out of it. I don't think there's mega money, to be fair.
Yeah, because I think PJ Jacobson's crew chief, whenever he was over here, was big man Mark Kelly. You'll know big man.
Irish fella.
Aye. Hey sir, come on.
Oh no, I'm like Roy Armstrong got a bike dropped off with him at like a 125 to fully restore it. It was first time I've ever seen burning turf. You ever seen that before? Like, no, they're digging out the ground and they burn it.
Yeah.
The smell of it, I felt like I was walking into like a brewery. I was like, this is so peaceful. You wouldn't want to slap off that fella, mind.
Honestly.
I remember asking him, like, this bloke's been round the block a fair few times thinking this man will, like, put some wisdom on it. I goes, right, what do you make? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He goes, just pull your fucking finger out, young. And I'm like, that's some solid advice right there. Yeah. He's a good lad, mind.
And he because he had obviously been with PJ and that, like, he had talked to me. I've talked to him a few times of coming on board as crew chief and this and that and the other, because he's, like, obviously as he can ride a bike as well, but he's stupidly smart with with how to set it up, etc.
Yes, aye.
So he had spoke to me about going to America, and I could have made a decent chunk of money, to be fair, which I've never actually made, but it's just America, isn't it? It's going out there, family, and
was
going
this
away from.
Sorry, was this before your little girl came along?
I think it was just as maybe wasn't there, but was on the route. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So
you were busy making clothes.
Yeah. In the process, but
in the on the big man. I'm not sure. Not. Give me a ring back in 10 minutes.
Wouldn't even take a long.
Oh, good, let you smooth here.
But yeah, like it's just here. American went big, didn't it, at the time? But I just think the asses fell out of it a little bit. Because I think Dunlop's out there at the minute, isn't he? Doing a big is it the Indy race or something?
Doing Daytona.
Daytona.
Now I'm glad you brought that up, because it totally skipped my mind. There was a BBC like bikes press release about that Michael was going to help you out or something like that.
And he was, to be fair, and in a roundabout way still is.
Yeah.
But, him and Jackson Racing. Obviously Jackson does the roads.
Yes.
Did the World Endurance as well,
They
didn't they?
did for a bit, didn't they? Or they still are?
I
don't
can't
know.
remember, but Alan Jackson?
Alan Jackson
rang me up and just goes, just basically said, here, seeing you not lost your ride, do you want to try and put something together? Michael's on board as well. He's got a bike in that belt, and Alan has, to be fair, too as well. And they said, how about doing something? So we're still trying, but it's the money side of things. It's all there. I've got a truck and everything organised. The fella's going to supply a truck and that for me for a year. He's got the bikes, got the crew. We just basically need money.
Aye, that's the thing, isn't it?
It's here. It is what it is. Everyone needs it, don't they? And a lot of people have. To be fair, loads of people have offered me bikes. Sean Muir actually messaged me offering me a new BM and that, but he says, look, I want it back at the end of the year. Same state it is, but you have to run it yourself. And I'm like, well, not to say the bike's cheap, but it's the cheaper version of actually running the bike. Do you know what I mean? Whereas run the bike for a year, tires, slicks, any crash damage.
Do you have an exact figure on that? Because like Chris, we take the piss out of him, like spreadsheet. He's got everything marked down. He knows every penny. Is that something that you do, or is it something that scares the shit out of you, like me?
I've never really been bothered with that. Do you know what I mean? I've just
just with that option on the tail from Sean, like, right, they are. We can give you this, blah 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 blah, but you need to run it.
I never even thought about it, to be honest, because I don't have a sponsors that size to try and even think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
and that's why when the Jackson Racing thing come on, I'm like, this is achievable.
So at the moment, is that your biggest opportunity for next year? Your best chance of racing?
Sort of. And there's actually, because I'd signed for Morello, well, there's a sponsor came in that's actually bought all Morello's stuff.
All right.
So that's sort of a late.
So let's stop you. I feel like we should slow you down a little bit. There's a lot of things coming out here, which is brilliant. So keep going.
There's a few sort of what's the word? Irons in the fire.
Like basically, for me to get a ride with the Jackson, I need to cover tires and fuel, which is about 25 grand.
Is this in stock or superbike? Stock 1000. I'll give him a run then.
Yeah, with the new Honda Fireblade, it would be. So
right.
Which mega, to be fair.
Strong bike.
And I think I really fancied the Honda, because the last time I rode the Honda in 16, were you in stock 1000?
I was, yeah.
Like, I just loved it, to be fair.
Because that was the key garage setup. Who was? I remember you kind of running out the back of the Honda thing, but it wasn't an official team, really, was it?
No, it was just privateer team, really. He spent all the money himself and that, and
And that year, the Honda was nowhere near as fast as like a privateer Honda back then was probably like about 180 brake, and against the sort of BMWs and the Kawasaki's. So, but it was my first year on a stock 1000, so it was perfect because basically the skill difference was about the same as the difference in speed on the thing. So you would make loads through the corners, and then I would catch you back up on the straight. Yeah. But I learned so much doing that, and it was purely because you were on a slow bike, but it allowed me to follow you for a lot, and I managed to learn a lot that year.
It was good. Like, I loved it, and I think that's why I've sort of bit of the horn for the Honda again, because it's like, I got on it. We never really changed a lot from once we found a decent setting with it, and I just got on it and rid the wheels of it.
It was so funny as well, because if there was one track that I would have said, I don't think you'll do very well there, 'cause it's a power circuit and it's fast as Thruxton, and he went and put it on pole position on like a well underpowered bike.
Literally, I think I don't know if that lap record still stands.
Is it like a 16 or something?
Something stupid. I literally went out, done in qualifying, and went out with a new front, an old rear, done like 2 laps. And you know what it's like, Thruxton, you can't use too much of a tyre. So came in, we put a new tyre in, and literally I'd come in like a lap or 2 earlier than everyone else. So literally, as I was going out, everyone was coming in, so the track was absolutely clear. And I literally cruised the lap, and for that lap, and honestly, if I was going to crash, I was going to crash big, because I literally laid everything on the line. And I went, actually, I didn't think it was that clean of a lap, and I went for the second lap, and it was just full opposite lock everywhere. And because it was opposite lock, it was like, fucking hell, this is fast, isn't it? And I was literally like 1.5 seconds off my quickest lap, and I'd actually need to check that out, because it was ridiculous. When I went there on the BM in 18, I didn't even get close.
On a super bike?
Super stock,
yeah.
And I think it was like a second or second and a half off me time in the Honda.
Yeah.
So why is that? Is that too much electronic aid, or could you turn that off, or why that's a fair jump, that?
Yeah, I've always loved Thruxton. On the BM, I just couldn't get a setting. The bike wasn't doing what I wanted, and when it's like that, and going into qualifying, I was still chasing my tail, trying to find a setup, and then qualifying finished, and I was like still not happy. I can't remember where I qualified, but then went into the race, and I was still taking a gamble on where we were set up, so it was difficult. But till I think I ended up 5th or 6th or something on the in 18, and I was just like, came in just gutted, because I love Thruxton. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them you proper lay it on the line and balls out, isn't it, really?
It's weird though, because like I said, that's a circuit that, especially after you'd done on the Honda, that's a circuit that you would have your life that you would do well on, and then you struggled. And maybe it was, I think that year you had a harder tyre there in Silverstone, and you maybe the Tygo bike didn't have a good setting with us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because everyone was destroying tyres, weren't they?
Yeah. So sorry, going back to your options for this year coming. For people that don't know, Keith was signed up to race for Morello in Superstock, and it wasn't that long ago, was it? It was after everybody else had been sort of sorted a deal and stuff. And did Steve have to pull out with the financial issues?
Yeah, something happened within his work.
And obviously with the COVID job, it's totally understandable. And like, I think there's a lot. That's probably the first of there'll be a lot more teams, I think, pulling out.
I was about to say, how many? You can't really put a number on it, but do you think there'll be a smaller paddock this year due to that?
I think so. I've spoke with Stuart Higgs a few times, and he's trying to get old teams back into it, and it's difficult to win it because no one wants to spend money, and Stuart and obviously Jonathan Palmer and that, they'll have a job in their hands trying to get it running, because if I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that they're not going to run behind closed doors, because they've obviously last year they've lost that much money through not getting crowd, and at the end of the day it's the crowd that pays the bills, really, isn't it? So,
exactly. We've said that on the show so many times. It's an entertainment business.
Yeah,
that's all it is, isn't it? So you need people through the doors to get it to pay.
Yeah, so I feel sorry for them to try and
I
get it off the floor again,
Mm-hmm. And so so you're in this position where you left without a ride before the season, and that's why we're talking about like different teams involved. And so Jackson Racing are looking to run a Honda, but you need to take tyres and fuel, so around the sort of 20-25 grand mark. And then you also mentioned an option with the old the sort of Morello setup, but with another team.
Yeah, same sort of crew. Chris Sale and that, he's going to crew chief it and that still, and but just obviously someone's
a different owner.
Yeah. So we're waiting on an answer for that.
It's fantastic news that someone still wants to keep that going, that team going. Which
it's
is
just you know, it's like because it's everything late developing, you know, and obviously with me with the Morello and then falling through, and then everyone else signed and deals took, and not to say there's people said, oh yeah, you know, we'll give you this and this, but you have to pay for this. And it's the same thing, and no disrespect to anybody, I'm 4 times champion, you know what I mean? I've been in the Superstock 3 times, and I've won it twice, you know, 3rd in the Honda. I want to still enjoy riding a bike, but I don't want to be going in to finish 5th, do you know what I mean?
No, you're there to
obviously,
win.
Chrissy, you won it, but I want to go in to win it again. Simple as, do you know what I mean? And I think with the right package, it can, do you know what I mean? And I know it's going to be seriously competitive again, which is mega, to be fair, to have good battles. But if it comes, it's horrible to say, but if it comes that I can't get a package that, you know, that I have to bring money and I can't find money, well, I'll just have to hang up boots, unfortunately. You know,
I think because we talked about this on the last time you were on the podcast, and the fact that you'd smashed yourself up so much, and you'd lost maybe like 6 months of work. You've got a family and stuff, and you were just saying like I'm wanting to race, but at the time you were saying like I'm wanting to race, but I'm not doing it for nothing type of thing. And it's totally understandable to be in that position. You've after everything you've achieved, and you know, after how much you've smashed yourself up and stuff.
That's the thing.
It's a massive risk that we're taking as riders. So.
That's the thing, and that's the way I see it. You know what I mean? And I understand, like, mechanics, they all need pay. Don't get me wrong, but I see it. The way I see it now is like I've done it for so long, won 4 championships, and never actually earned money out of it. And I'm thinking now, right? Well, we're the riders. We're sitting on the bikes that won this, risking our lives, but yet I'm still not getting paid for it, but yet everyone around me that's sat a mechanic, you know, brolly dolly girls get fortunes, and I'm like,
maybe you're in the wrong career, Keith. You need to get your stilettos and your
I don't know how
high
my
heels.
legs will work. But yeah, like I just to be honest, it's one of them. If it can like get something out of it, you know what I mean, and not only get something out of it, I want to enjoy it again. You know what I mean? This last 2 years, you know, through Tycho, to be fair, was my own fault. Crash, broke my legs. And last year was just, you know, not the results I wanted. I smashed my shoulder to bits again, and you know, when you're not enjoying it, it's a horrible sport, because then everyone's like, you know, going, why are you crashing so much? You're shit now, and you know what I mean. And it is. It's easy to get on that, you know what I mean, and think negative of the job. But I think that's why the only someone had rang me about riding a superbike for them, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not interested. And there's literally, I'd only ride for 3 teams for me to go to superbike now. I'd rather go in superstock and try to, you know, enjoy myself and win races, and if I can make a few quid out of that, you know, albeit, if not, I'll restore some motocross bikes and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, sure.
I know you've set your bar out, and good on you. You know what I mean? Wait, that's the way to be.
It's crazy. Yeah. There's I don't know what it is, but there's quite a few Irish riders at the moment that, you know, you've got you, Seeley, Josh Elliott, Andy Reid, who all 4 of you don't have rides at the moment, and you're all class riders, and from a similar sort of area. It's odd, really.
It's crazy.
I've seen Seeley's offering his services, but I don't. I think obviously with Seeley,
valeting, by the way, let's tidy that up. Valeting.
What's that?
Offering his services.
No, I meant his race services, but the.
Oh, well done! You've caught up there.
But but he's out valeting and working and getting ready and trying his best to get something sorted. But I think the Northwest, his big selling point, isn't it, for teams? And obviously the fact, like, the uncertainty around the Northwest isn't obviously helping. But he's still a top class short circuit racer, and there's just nothing. There's nothing on the table at the moment. Andy Reid's another one who's he's very talented, but he always seems like he's massive. He never has a little crash, does he?
Yeah.
And he's one of the most talented riders that I've raced with over the years, but for some reason it just hasn't seemed to happen.
He's just I friendly Andy, and I texted him not long ago to see what he was up to, and actually it was just before my deal fell through with Steve, and because Steve was sort of him and hand with running a second rider and this, that and the other, and I says, oh, here, there's Steve's number, because he is a good kid, you know what I mean, and he has bags of talent, and he just needs sort of someone to, in a sense, you can tell him to be calm before he goes out, but like he changes to a different person, after he goes out, and if someone could be sitting on his shoulder going like, calm down, you don't need to win every single race, I think he could be like, bags of talent, do you know what I mean, and he could win loads of stuff, but just like when was it, 18 when I raced with him, he'd come back from injury, came back to Fruxton, and then all of a sudden, like, first session back, and he pinged himself.
Huge broke his wrists.
That was horrendous.
That crash he had on the Tyco bike at Cadwell Park. That was I was behind him going into turn 1, and you know what it's like, Cadwell Park. You fly down the straight, back into that fast left. You've got like right leant over, elbows down, and out the corner of my eye, I just seen the bike just cartwheeling up into the air. And I think he smashed the bike, but he also smashed himself up there. But top lad, and is another one that seems. Well, I don't know if he's racing. He came back last year and did the first round on a Moto 2 bike, but again had a massive crash down Craner. I don't know if he's looking to come back racing.
I think he is still. Like I say, he's working flat out now as well. He works for his brothers. What is it? Doing
tattoo artist, isn't
he was doing his own tattooing, but I think he works along with his brother, doing powder coating and stuff for alloys and all the rest and that, and he obviously seems quite busy, and not that he's not bothered but come back, he wants to, but it's one of them, it's the money situation of paying into a ride,
because a lot of people get mixed up in this sport, don't they? Just because you're a front runner like yourself and Andy and Alice Seeley, you think, well, you just rock star payments, no one has to worry about that. And we were talking about sponsorship, how reliable that is, but like you say, we've all just got to roll up the sleeves and muck on. There's Alice Seeley, started up a valeting business, like cleaning his own cars, and then powder coating and whatever you're doing, diggers.
What's his called, Josh Elliott? Because he went from winning a race, and by the end of the season, he obviously lost his ride with OMG, and was and then the first round this year just gone, he came and did one round in stock 1,000, and that's it. But he seems to have totally went from top of the list to sort of out of the sport.
He's just dropped out.
Because I messaged him. He put something on his story on Instagram, and I messaged him. I can't remember what it was about, and I messaged him. I says, "Oh, what's the crack? What you on with? You coming back?" And then he just says, "No, I'm not." He says everyone's looking mental money, and I don't blame him, to be fair. You get to that point. Like I'm at this the same point. I was like, in a sense, the team should be the one. It'll probably do me no good, but the teams that are looking riders to bring money. It should be their job to fetch the money. Do you know what I mean? As the riders are the one risking their lives, but it happens throughout all sports. You know what I mean? MotoGP, British World Superbike, British Superbike, and it doesn't annoy me. I don't lose any sleep over it. It used to piss me off, but it is what it is now, and you get on with it. And I've accepted that if I can't get a seat because I can't bring money, I just get on with it, enjoy my life, ride a bit of motocross when I can, and I've just bought I say a new, but I've bought a 01 125 that I'm going to fully restore, so
chuck some pistons at it and go from there.
Give it some big revs.
And so going back to this year that's just past 2020, going into the season, were you fully fit going into sort of pre-season testing in the round 1?
Yeah, I was. Before I had a crash in Spain.
Right, so you signed for Bill Biggs, wasn't it, on the Suzuki and Superbikes, teammates with Kyle Ride, and was that your first time on a Suzuki?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because the team had flown us out on either just before, the way you're not allowed a testing ban or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was in sometime in December. We flew out to Cartagena. Was it Cartagena? Yeah. And for 3 days it did nothing but piss down, and we got like 2 laps, and it was sketchy.
Hold on, you're the maestro in the rain, so it wouldn't
not
upset
on
you.
slicks.
Waste of time, yeah.
But so yeah, we literally done nothing. Then me and Kyle decided we'd drive out to Spain. So I got organised everything and got a van all together, and we drove out there, and we just basically went at our own cost. Stayed out there, everything got sorted, and first day was going alright, getting up to speed. Day 2, obviously because we got a free track day for the 4 days or whatever we were meant to be there, we had to do some tutoring in that. So I was first session studying. It was a bit cold for over there, shall I say, a bit like dew down and that, and so it was like study session. So I says, right, I'll follow a couple of these guys, whatever, and that's alright. So done that, a couple of runs, and finished the lap out, and then I says, right, I was just like 2 or 3 laps left, if that, so I'll like have a little go. And I came round turn 1, 2, 3, 4, I think turn 7, when you're coming back towards before you head up the hill.
Yeah.
Just as I went in
flat left.
Yeah. 4th gear pin, just touched the brake and went bang down. Bike straight out over tire wall, ended over on the other side, and I hit the tire wall. And honestly, I've still a sore rib from that. Not a dislocated rib, but the ribs come out of place. Do you know what I mean? So it's still. I'll show you after.
I think that's the definition of dislocation.
That's the one.
Place.
Yeah. That's, but yeah, that was uncomfortable. And ever since that, like, I just never gelled with anything. I was it took the edge off me. Do you know what I mean? Not put fear into me, but just like, whew.
Did you know why you crashed?
Yeah, because I never fucking let the tires get up the temperature again.
It's the worst thing in the world, isn't it? If you crash and you don't know why. If you understand why, you can sort of.
And it was one of them as well. I went out there and I'd said to Steve, and I was like, if I crash and I wreck a bike, I'll fix it. Not, you go and test and you're never trying 100%. And I wasn't full on going for it that lap, but I just.
It boof went.
As soon as I touched the brakes down, I'm like. Oh.
And you were covering the crash damage as well.
Yeah, so I had to fit the bike as well. So that went down well.
How much did that cost?
What damage was to the bike?
To be fair, it wasn't too bad. The Steve was sound with it, to be honest. He was like, look, there's a lot of stuff on it that needed replaced and fixed and this, that and the other. But it was 2,800, I think it cost me. So a lot of stuff, that they got for free, and so he was sound with that side of it, to be fair, and he let me off light really. But yeah, it was kicking the balls really.
Yeah, I bet. And then going into the season, were you going in kind of a little bit battered and bruised?
Yeah.
And I can't really remember the first few rounds. Like what sort of results were you getting?
Well, we'd done loads of testing at Mallory, but like I'd never really rid Mallory much. Do you know what I mean? And I never got on with. We weren't allowed noisy days or anything like that, and the bike wasn't doing what I wanted, and I just never, everything that we were to do got put off because of obviously the COVID crack. We never got to Spain. I never got proper time on the bike. Not at any other circuit. We done loads of Mallory, but I just never felt comfortable. And then round 1 was the first proper time I met my crew chief and everything, so got working with him, and that was alright. Done that. Come into qualifying, we were like trying to chase our tail a little bit, and I had just no feeling with the bike. And then qualifying, there was like 5 minutes to go, and we made a change and went out, and I was just like, when you get a change and you get excited because you're like, straight away you've done 2 corners, you're like, yeah, I can have a go with this. And I came round and literally done 1 flying lap and went P10 or 11 or something like that. I was like, which was alright for me then because it was shit at previous, but and I'd like literally passed the board with literally seconds to go. I was like, right, I'll have a good go with this last lap, and literally got to turn 1 and barrel rolled it into the fence.
Never.
And snapped my shoulder. So yeah, round 1 didn't go to plan.
What did you do to your shoulder?
snapped the collarbone off the shoulder, I think.
Oh,
God, Bennett, well, I was about to say you're sitting there nice and comfy with your arm up. It's
not
good.
too bad. You can.
Was it the coracoid?
That's complicated.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't know. To be fair.
Did you get it plated or something? Or
yeah, I went down to, is it below Manchester?
Yeah. Was it Mr. Fung?
Dr. Funk.
Yeah, Dr. Funk. Dr. Funk.
Yeah. Sorry, Funk.
Funk. Yeah.
Funk.
He's like the top shoulder surgeon in the country.
This is what the house built.
It's the arm and shoulder clinic, isn't it?
That's the one. Yeah. So obviously Steve used to have Sylvan getting totally riding for him, and Sylvan, Steve said, here, speak with him and he'll tell you what to do and this, that and the other. And my young doctor had said, look, you can let it heal. It'll not be great, but so I can't remember what the time frame was, and I was like, that doesn't sound too good. And then Dr. Funk was like, right, it needs this, but it's $7.5 grand. I'm like, so,
Jesus,
so
what?
yeah, so I literally got it operated on within, I think, the Saturday, because it was racing every 2 weeks then, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I had crashed on the Saturday at Donington. The 2 weeks after that was Snetterton, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So then I got operation on the Saturday morning of Snetterton, and then
I couldn't believe how fast you came back.
yeah, 2.5 weeks.
$7.5 grand. That's how he got back so quick. My giddy aunt.
I remember. I
Need
remember.
to start selling a bit of coke or something.
I remember your
You don't have to
injury.
do something.
I remember your injury, and then I remember seeing you out on a motocross bike and just thinking that is like incredible.
Yeah, I have a fella, Ian Dixon. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
He's over your direction, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And I had him come over to do a little bit of laser treatment, this, that, and the other, and he says, you'll not need anything else. You'll be all right in a couple of weeks of this. And I'm like, that's a bit premature, that, you know what I mean? And I didn't really do nothing. I had done everything to sort of be sensible with it without hurting it, do you know what I mean? But I was like proper making an effort.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was like, I don't like seeing anybody else on my bike, do you?
Aye.
And 2.5 weeks, because obviously lockdown, my boss that I work for, his kids have motocross bikes and that, so down at a farm, like a couple of miles from my work, we built a motocross track, and they're like, hey, there's a digger, just play away, and we kept extending it every couple of weeks and making it bigger, and
The kids are getting faster and faster and faster.
so Adrian, my boss, goes, how's his shoulder? Asking a bit of crack with his shoulder and that, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come down at the weekend, and or it was a Wednesday night or something. He says, I don't think that's a good idea, and I'm like, no, it's good. Like, I said, I can do press ups, this, that, and the other, and he was a bit different to riding motocross. So I was like, you know what it is? I was like, I'm only gonna come down and ride around the field, flat field, see how it feels, and I literally got on it and think, when you get on, you think, oh, I don't know if this feels all right. So I got on. I was like, it's not too bad. Rid around the flat field. And then I was like, giving it a bit of braking, and I was like, that feels alright. So literally had to go round the track, but like didn't jump nothing, didn't do nothing. And I was like, and then a lap later, go for the jump, hit it a little bit. And I'm like, this feels mint, this. And literally by the end of the night, honestly, I could not believe I was riding it, fully committed, everything. It got sore after 20 minutes, to be fair, but
that's full commitment.
Holding a motocross bike, a 450 Suzuki, for 20 minutes, I was like, yeah, that'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that was 2 weeks after that, so I missed then what was after Snedden, whatever, I missed another one. And then in between that round and Oldham the next round, I rid at Donington a day for like a track day or whatever, and it hurt. It really hurt. Because Donington's so sore on brakes and that.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure,
yeah, like I'd done a session, and I'm like, Steve was like, how is it? And I'm like, riding like a complete fanny, to be fair, but I was getting round, do you know what I mean? And I was like, by the end of the day, he's like, how is it? I was like, yeah, not too bad. I was driving home, and I was like thinking, arm on steering wheel and all the rest, and I was like, ooh, that's hurt, and then I sort of thought, right, if I can do that, Oldham Park's as hard as it is changing direction, everything, I was like, Donington's the worst for braking on, and that's when it mainly hurt. So we just put like a big pad in front of the tank for when I was braking, and I just literally leaned against it, and that was that, you know. And I don't think I'd done too bad a job for coming back, but
like you say, that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
That is a very, very quick turnaround.
Was it 4 weeks after the op? That's when I first rode.
No,
4 weeks. That is.
Do you know?
Superbike.
In the past, I've had a few operations and stuff, and I've always kind of I've never had a private operation.
Yeah.
What was your experience compared, like, from what you've had in the past? What was it? Do you feel like the you know,
that
the
7,000 was worth it?
7,500.
Yeah.
Obviously, it got you in faster, so that was a massive priority for racing. But in terms of the you know, what was different about it?
Just like you know, it's like the NHS is great that we have NHS, and under the circumstances, and like my sister's in NHS, and she'll probably listen to this, so she'll probably give me a telling off. But you know, they are great for what they do. But you know, like you just, for private, you go in, you get treated, you're done, you're out. Do you know what I mean? The NHS is like such a fanny and on of, you know, you need to come here this day for this, and then go back the next day for this. I literally went. I rang Dr. Funk and says, right, here, I've
Best
done this.
name ever. I get a smile every time you say that
and
word.
like literally sent him me scans, and he goes, right, no worries. That was like, whatever. I rang him Monday morning after the crash. That's what it was. And he goes, right, come down tomorrow morning. Went down tomorrow morning, and he says, right, I'll book you in for the next Saturday. I was like, that was that, done. And that was the first time he could get me in, was the Saturday after. So I was like, right. And then like, to swallow of paying $7,500 for a bloody operation, and like, it was actually, I wasn't going to do it, and I was just like literally sort of take it on the chin, maybe see by the end of the year if I could ride a bike. And went up to try and sort my motorhome one day, and Bertie says, whatever you do, whether you never race a bike again, he says, you will regret it, because if you don't, he says, your shoulder in later life will give you hell. And I'm glad I did now, even, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you look really comfortable.
Like, here, it's no bother. Like, you know, in the cold mornings and that, and, you know, if you're out running and that, and like, because I've always struggled with the shoulder anyway, but like, when you get to the end of the run, you're like, oh, you know, you become aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's no bother. It don't annoy me, apart from when my kid's trying to swing off it.
And so going back,
out
so
your wallet.
that's heavy. You got back to Superbikes at Oulton Park, and then there was, I think that was round 4, wasn't it? So we only had Donington and then Brands Hatch. Yeah. Donington, you were back on Superbike, I think, weren't you? And then for the final round, back to Superstock. Yeah. What was the stock like? How did you go from Superbike to Superstock sort of mid-season?
It was not really my call, to be fair. It was one of them. I wasn't producing the results. It costing a lot of money to ride a Superbike when I was riding like a fucking fanny. There was nothing else to it. You know what I mean?
Did you see that? And was that purely because of the injury?
Yeah, like not really. To be fair, it was a bit. I had no feeling with the bike. Do you know what I mean? I was told it was the same as the other twos, and you know, it wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
As in, it just wasn't set up the same, or
no,
same equipment?
Same equipment, you know what I mean? And I was, when Kyle had obviously a falling out with them at the last round.
Sorry, Kyle did?
Yeah, because Kyle obviously was teammate, and then Gino had stepped in for me, so he stayed on board, didn't he?
Right,
on the Superbike.
Right.
So then when...
did you had a falling out with Kyle, or...?
No. When Kyle had a falling out with the team.
I didn't know about that.
Right, because obviously then at the last round, Kyle had obviously everyone came aware that he had jumped ship to OMG.
And was that why they fell out?
Yeah. Right. So there was a bit of heated discussion in the team, and I was obviously having the crack with Kyle and what I'd been through, and Kyle was like, yeah, well, they've took my parts off this bike and this, you know what I mean? And I'm not getting into it, but and I was like, I just turned around and says, like, now you know how I feel. I've rid that fucking dog all year when you've been on a good bike. And he's like, all right.
And just left it like that.
No, and here, I had a massive fallout with him in the last round, but, you know.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because of the situation?
Yes. Because of going to Superstock. And I'd put something, I'd give my social media away till a fella that looks after Keith Stewart. And you know, he'd sent something across to put out on the, because everyone was asking questions why I'd gone to Superstock, and I weren't gonna lie, I didn't tell the whole truth, but you know, I'd literally said, I can't remember what he said or put out, but it was well put, to be fair, better than I would have put it, because I would have told the truth.
This is the crack.
Yeah, but he put it out, walked down to the garage Friday morning, you know, have a bit of crack, get called into the office and all the rest, and I just took it, and then all of a sudden I just lost my head, and we had a massive falling out. But to be fair, after we had the fallout, everything was cool, because I laid everything on the table, do you know what I mean? And I got emotional because, like, you know what I mean, I was being deemed that I didn't want to ride a Superstock, and I'm like, I wouldn't have driven 6.5 bloody hours to drive to ride a Superstock bike. They ran back to brands, obviously, if I didn't want to. So we had a massive falling out, but we got it sorted, do you know what I mean? This was all within 40 minutes of the first session. So went and got changed and jumped on a bike and done an okay job. Had a bit of brake failed in the race, but other than that, I was happy enough, to be fair. And I think with the whole year that I've had, losing a bit of motivation, you know, not having the right feeling, I wasn't as fit as I wanted to be after obviously the Alp, and you know, losing time to train because of the injury and the way I wanted to train. And Steve, you know, I haven't fell out with him, we're cool, do you know what I mean? And he done what he needed to do, and I've went a separate way, and that's what it is, you know what I mean? That's racing, and I wouldn't like to fall out with somebody over, you know, not really, to be fair. At the end of the day, they want to run a team, they want to do the best they can, and good luck to them, do you know what I mean? But that's just the way it is, isn't it?
How do you think their lineup this year will do with Gino and Danny Kent?
I think.
Oh yeah, Danny Kent.
Yeah, Gino, I think would be a good bet, to be fair. You know,
he had some real strong rides at the end of last year, didn't he?
He wasn't on the bike that long, and he's obviously a talented kid. Do you know what I mean?
Does he know how long's Gino been on the circuits then? Was he on for OMG last year? No, I'm mixing my riders up here.
OMG a few years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so he knows the circuits. Sorry, yes, he knows the circuits.
What did he do in 19?
Gino, so he did OMG, that was 2018, wasn't it, on the Superbike?
Yeah.
And that was after a spell in like Mo2 and all kinds.
That's right, yeah.
Came back to the UK. Last year, it was Bill Base, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he had a ride with OMG or something, that's right, didn't it? And then it fell through because he wanted to try and run a Superstock team or something for himself.
Right.
I knew there was a connection with OMG at that point.
Yeah, but then obviously he filled in for me, and to be fair to him, he'd done a really good job, you know, for not being on it long. So fair play to him. I think he'll do well. Danny, I think, been on Superbike before. I think, did he, when you had the fallout with Mavano or whatever you call them?
Yeah, I didn't follow them, but yeah, he stepped in at the end of last year. The end of 2018. He did one round on the Halswell bike, and he also rode around for Qingdao on the MV. Dave Tyson on the.
Yeah, the MV didn't take off, did it?
No,
it's been alright. Yeah. You know, the bike didn't seem to gel, did it? So,
no, and have you seen Luke Mossey's riding for that team next year, but on the Kawasaki?
Yeah.
So he's
on the Kawasaki.
He's Bike Devil Kawasaki, and
like it's one of them. It's Luke, I rate him as quite a good rider, to be fair. You
Brilliant,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
can you remember that year when he was leading the championship and when Haslam was teammate?
Did he do the double at Brands?
Did
that
the
time?
double, and he was
right.
That's another one that looking like the next big thing.
Did he
and
crash at that race weekend as well, didn't he?
Not that weekend, but he's never really been the same since he had that big crash at Thruxton where he touched the white line on the start-finish line and went into the wall. And ever since then, he went from being like a dominant force in superbikes to be. He was still, don't get us wrong, he was a brilliant rider and he's had some great rides, but he never really worked out with OMG. And then
because he had a big crash at Snetterton, wasn't it, as well? Did he have a brake fail at the end of the back straight or something, and he had to jump off it like absolutely flat?
That was it.
That was on the Kawasaki as well. Yeah.
That's right. So like, it's difficult, you know what I mean? And I think was he OMG 2 years, wasn't
he? Yes,
he did 2 years.
With
OMG, yeah.
So like,
1 year on the Suzuki, 1 year on the BM.
Yeah. But it's here. He might jump back on the Kawasaki and go well. You know what I mean? It's things that he maybe used to and always has, and it's hard to know.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Here's a question, like, you know, speaking briefly about Kyle Ryde then, you both came, like, as far as I can remember, you both came from a similar background as far as the 600, and I'm going to bore every listener who's listening to this and watching on YouTube, but what I find really interesting is that transaction period, because, like, we have, for example, you've got Rory Skinner stepping up from 600s up into superbikes. Like, was Kyle very similar? You know, those first couple of testing out sessions, was it like, did it remind you of how you transitioned? And
to be fair, he's a really mature kid for him, do you know what I mean? And he's bags of talent, and you know, actually I can't remember where it was, but Josh Brooks made a comment about, you know, if Kyle had been on a more what was it, a bike that stayed finished, or I can't remember, he made some comment about the bike failure or whatever, but he was worried about Kyle. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, you know what, that's a fair comment to come from Josh Brooks.
Because Kyle did the first couple of rounds and he did an outstanding job, and then the bikes unfortunately packed in on him. But
he was unlucky because, you know, of all the time there, I never had a bike failure. Do you know what I mean? Or Gino didn't, and he was just unlucky. He was maybe riding it too fast. Maybe that's the problem.
But like more the transition toward from 600 to 1,000, because you know, it's always that, it's too much. But you see, Kyle's proof that he stepped up rapidly. You massively proven that point. It's just
be interesting to see how Kyle gets on with the BMW and obviously teammates with Bradley Ray as well.
I think the Suzuki suited Kyle with the way he rid the bike. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think the Suzuki, you could ride it more like a 600 style. Just from the way I rode it, you know, was trying to go in, park it, set it up and drive it out, and it just maybe wasn't suiting that pure style, whereas Kyle was maybe, you know, his corner speed was ridiculous.
I've seen that lad in a pit bike. He's so quick.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, like, I hope he can transition to the BM as well, do you know what I mean? But I hope he does, but the BM, I don't know what, well, obviously I read the first stage of the new BM, but I don't know how much it's changed. But I hope, to be fair to him, I hope he continues.
No, definitely. He's no, it's going to be an exciting season whenever it kicks off.
And have you obviously you won't have any like definite testing plans because you don't know what you're riding yet. But have you got any? Are you just sort of riding motocross and stuff until the season starts?
Yeah, like literally the last time I rode a bike, I think was probably the last round last year, or maybe I've done a bit of motocross since. But literally, hopefully within this week, I'll hopefully find out of what's happening. Either Kawasaki, or, you know, if we can get some money towards a Honda job. And to be fair to everyone on social media, they've gone mental trying to set up GoFundMe pages, and, you know, and that's brilliant. It don't sit that great with me. I don't like a GoFundMe page because at the end of the day, it's me that wants to ride a bike. I don't want everyone else at cost just for me to ride a bike. As much as I appreciate that, it's just like,
not really your style.
Yeah, it's a bit begging to me. Here, if someone wants to do it, fair enough, and hand me 10 grand. But at the end of the day, if I don't go racing, what happens? Do you know what I mean? And then people will be maybe calling me for, what have you done with my money? You know what I mean? And that's the only reason I don't like it. I appreciate it, but just not for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But you're no, you've worked very hard for it. I was about to say you're very lucky, but you've put yourself in a situation, but you have won it 4 times, and it's like you've got nothing to prove to no one. But it would be great to see on the grid with this lad. I think it'll be
nice, because obviously, you know, Cooper's coming back in. He's going to be back on the Bathams, I believe.
Have you heard anything from Coops?
No,
he's been very quiet. You know, he obviously had a big crash and did a lot of damage to the bottom of his leg, and it'd be great to see him back on the grid without a doubt.
I think he's had something similar to me, hadn't he? I think he had he rods or plates or something like that in. Which is not good, but I've only heard that he's possibly going that way. And is Taylor McKenzie possibly going to be a teammate to him?
Taylor he'll definitely be in stock 1,000. I'm not sure whether presumably with Bathams, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Because Richards, he's been a champion in it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Taylor's been a champion. Obviously yourself. I'd like to be in it, 2 times champ. So there's 5 championships.
But when you're talking about the depth of field,
looking
that's
like
serious.
Alex Olsen's going to be back from injury as well, and back in stock 1,000.
How is he now?
I haven't heard much from him, but they put a post out the other day saying the gyms were closed, but he had like a swinging arm, so it looked like he's doing some workout with a swinging arm. But cause I think he had a serious injury, and it's do you know, the last podcast that we recorded, it isn't actually out yet. I know you're working your way through. Keith's in the 50s, so he's still got plenty to enjoy. But the one that we recorded last week, we were talking about so we had Joe Ackroyd on, and we're talking about
the sort of got to the Joe Ackroyd ones yet.
Not yet, but we're talking about sort of injured riders, and when you leave the racetrack, Joe's basically looking to set up like some sort of charity organisation to help injured riders and put like a sort of a network of people together that can help. So, and the idea is that, you know, when you're injured and you go home, there'll be an organisation in touch that can put you in touch with like shoulder surgeons. You can, if you've spanned your leg, you could speak to somebody that spanned their leg and kind of talk, and loads of good ideas and stuff. And that's something that you'd never really hear about until you say like read people's autobiographies and maybe like chat shows like this. But you've obviously went through some serious injuries, and people don't think about, you know, like getting addicted to painkillers and some like real deep and dark places that you can sort of get to.
And that's the same as myself. I
How many drugs are you on at the minute then?
None, unfortunately, but I think I need to start. I'm actually watching Breaking Bad at the minute, to be fair, and they're cooking meth. I think I might start that.
I was about to say,
what are you up to?
We're on series. It's starting series 4 tonight.
Oh, brilliant!
I was wondering why the Winnebago turned up outside the car park. And we got
it's just cooking, kids.
Like smoke pouring out the roof there.
It's hard to know. You know what I mean? It's
what's the worst time for you like injury wise?
I think the legs was. Do you know what I mean? The worst part was me missus having to look after me. Do you know what I mean? Coming home, my little one looking to play with me. Do you know what I mean? And me hardly being able to, you know, I couldn't walk up the stairs. I couldn't do now. Do you know what I mean? I was literally sliding on my ass everywhere for a bit, and it didn't last too long, to be fair, because of what NHS and that can do now. Obviously, put steel rods, and I think it was a week and a half, and I walked out of hospital. Not literally walked out of hospital, but I had to walk to get out of hospital. Do you know what I mean? So
in pain? No,
no,
I'm fine.
But yeah, it's that was dark. Literally, I think I had a phone call. I can't remember how long after, with Philip Neal, and I told him that I never wanted to ride a bike again, this, that and the other. Was proper like against it, and I didn't want to hurt myself because of this and this, and yeah, but I don't ever like to stay on painkillers, because like you say, you can get addicted and this, that and the other, and I don't like, the addiction for me is bikes, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? I don't like addicted to anything else. So yeah, I came off painkillers soon as I got out of hospital. I got out of hospital on a week and a half after I broke the legs, and then 2 days after that, Ian Dixon came to me to give me laser treatment and that, and then 2 days after that, I had no painkillers. I was like, it was a bit rough, to be fair. Probably should have took him another week to try and sleep at night, but I just literally wanted off them, because as soon as you come off them, you know, the end of the day, you know how your pain is. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when you have taken them all the time and relying on them, you don't know what your pain is, because it's not there.
Disguised.
Yeah. So like, it's just easier that if it's there, then you can manage it within your brain.
Yeah. Have you got Ian Dixon on speed dial?
Pretty much. Like,
you're watching the telly live on Eurosport going, "Aye, good race, son, good race."
Yeah. But no, he's it's handy because he comes to you, and do you know what I mean? And he does a good job, and
I've used him before. He does a lot of his main work is with horses, isn't it?
Oh,
horse injuries, yeah.
Oh, right.
Did you not know that?
Oh, no.
The second best thing, motorcycle races.
He probably did tell me, but I just zone out. Do you know what I mean?
It's like there's a place in Norwich, Brian Simpson, and a lot of people go to him. It's a similar sort of thing. It's like laser. Well, there's the laser treatment, and then also there's the magnetic therapy, where you kind of put like these magnets around you, like whatever injured bit, and it's like there's something to do with stem cells, isn't there? So the stem cells that are in your bone marrow in your leg, it sort of releases stem cells to get to the the injured bit. Yeah. So even if you've got like an injured finger, you would put the magnetic thing around your bone, leg bone, to get the stem cells to your finger to heal you, all that sort of stuff.
It's weird, but to be fair, it helped me massively.
Do you do
it works?
Do you do the hyperbaric chambers as well?
I've never actually done the hyperbaric. I went to what was the ice, like an ice bath, not an ice bath, but it's an I can't even remember it's not hyperbaric chamber. I can't remember the name of it.
He's getting dumped in Lake Windermere here for the crack.
I can't remember what it is, to be fair, but it's like literally you step.
Is it a...
Danny Buchan's done it recently.
Right.
He's on for TAS, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, sorry.
And I seen him in it the other day, because it's apparently a lot of trainers not use it because it takes your body. It's basically like you step in a chamber and you close the chamber around you, and you're.
Is it up to your neck, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
It doesn't. It's cold, but they take you to a minus 170. But it doesn't. Obviously.
Is it cold water therapy?
No, not cold water.
No, it's like.
Is it?
I can't mind on. Deep freeze, but in a tube.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be going on Danny Buchan's Instagram to find it.
I have a check on that.
But yeah, it helped me. I went and broke the legs and that. I've done a lot of that, to be fair. I've done a couple of weeks of every single day to Blackburn. Went and it was only an hour and a half, do you know what I mean? But it was a big step for me as well. So if I was anything injured again, I'd probably do that over again straight away, because it was expensive, but at the end of the day, if it gets you back a bit quicker and
gets you back to work, making a living and everything like that, it's worth doing.
I'll need to get you information from that, because I've never heard of it. But,
we'll have to have a belt in it. But I tell you what, before we wrap things up,
cryotherapy.
Well done, that man.
What is it? Cryotherapy.
I've never heard of that. I'll have to look into it.
Honestly, it's mega. Even just for after training and that, there's none around here, and I've literally when I was doing it down Blackburn, I actually considered starting a business with it, and I talked to Bertie about doing it actually, because there's nothing around Penrith with it. It's unbelievable. Like literally, it's a game changer, I think. And I would, if it was closer, I would, even though it's expensive, I'd do it once a week just to refresh yourself. It's like.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How much is the infrastructure, do you think, to set it up?
How much is one session, like for Blackburn here?
Oh, I can't even remember. It was colossal.
Ballpark figure, like 100 quid.
Is it like literally you only do it for 5 minutes or something? It was something like 40 or 50 quid or something like that.
Keith, I think we've got a good little business coming here soon.
I get rid of the crystal meth in the Winnebago, but just put a couple of Cairo tubes there.
Be a bit more legal.
Just a touch. But no,
one question that I've got, and I'm almost sure I've asked you this before, about road racing. A lot of people get to the position in short circuit racing where the for example, Hickman was at a point where he wasn't making a living from British Superbikes. He was getting he'd had a good go at it, but he wasn't running at the front, not making a living, and he went over to the Isle of Man TT and started road racing, and he's ended up making a very lucrative career from the road racing side of things. For somebody that's been in your position, and like you said, you've won these 4 championships and you haven't really seen the financial benefit of that. It must have been a big pull at some point for you, to think, well, you could maybe go for the Northwest, for example, and earn a few quid. Have you ever came close to doing it?
Yeah, very close.
To the point of chatting to organisers, or
not to that point, but for me, just even to think over it, because my dad always said from day one, when he bought me a bike in 2010 R6, and he says, I'll support you, but if you ever go road racing, I want nothing to do with it. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. And I genuinely never had an interest in it. I respect you and others that do it, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm bad enough on bloody circuits, never mind roads. Like we said before, walls. That's a different.
There's a dream.
But yeah, N18 won the Super Stock, and with Ford Tyco just thought automatically, yeah, no bother going to Superbike, this, that, and the other. And you know what racing's like. It's never as politically correct and this, that, and the other, and it's never as simple as just winning championship. Yeah, you're nominated to go to Superbike, and excuse me, and I genuinely thought about doing the Northwest, because if I'd done the Northwest for the like a Tycho, then it would secure my seat in for the British Superbike, because I think I spoke with Seeley or Glenn Irwin about it as well, and they were like, yeah, you'd be good at this and that and the other, and I'm like,
you would be,
you know, and
I'm gonna say you
yeah,
would be.
but like it's just it's such a not, you know, my cousins did it, and you know, and to be fair, done all right at it, but it's just like it's just I would be doing it for the wrong reasons.
You know, I was literally just about to say, like the I think to do it, you've got to want to do it in the first place.
And I think that's why I respect the ones that do it, but I think that's why it's sad to see a lot of kids that go to it just because maybe they don't make it in BSB. Do you know what I mean? And to see them going just to try and get some money out of it, it's horrible, because they're like you know, Malachi Mitchell Thomas. Do you know what I mean? I raced supermoto with him when he was like in the smaller class and this and that and the other. And then, you know, to get killed at it. And here, if they want to do it, fair enough. And he might have been doing it for, you know, the right reasons. But, you know, just to see someone come to it and you know, in a sense, nearly go too quick too soon, do you know what I mean? And then be took away from it. And it's, you know, but yeah, it was a big consideration. I spoke to my dad and everything about it, and he was actually all for it, which surprised me, to be fair.
I bet that was a shock.
Yeah, and I think that sort of, give me the shivers, and it's just giving me the shivers right now, you know, because, like, literally, for me dad to say that...
don't do this. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, and then I was like... And then I literally just said, no, you know what, if it doesn't come off and I don't get a Superbike ride, well then, it is what it is, you know, and... It was hard to swallow, because I obviously wanted that Superbike seat, and okay, fair enough, I got it in the end, but you know, it came with literally, if I maybe had went for the Northwest, I could have got a few quid out of it and this, that and the other, you know what I mean, put a bit of a, you know, I'll do Northwest for you and this, that and the other, but like, I ended up getting a Superbike ride and no money in my pocket, no nothing, and I was like, you know, so you end up, you're working round the clock to live, you know what I mean, and to be fair, I've only really realised, but like, I should have been doing better work, you know, having people fetch sponsorship into me and this, that and the other, but it's one of them learning process, I know. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, it's a lot. You almost forget how much has actually happened between the first time we had you on the pod to this point. So Glenn Irwin at this point, before on the first interview, wasn't doing the TT, wasn't riding for Honda or anything. How do you think you'll fetch at the TT?
Like, me and Glenn's had a run in the past, and we actually get a run really well now, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? And I think both of us just grew up, you know what I mean? I was obviously battling with Andrew, and we had a run-ins and this and that. But I think, you know, Glenn wants to go and do well, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Me personally, I think he'll want to go and be the fastest newcomer. I just hope that doesn't have consequences. Do you know what I mean? I respect him, and he has so much talent, and he's done an amazing job in the Honda last year, and again, you know, he will this year, I'm sure. But I hope he doesn't go too quick too soon.
But you see, the good thing about Glenn Irwin though, he's not exactly a shock product, is he? And no, as far as roads, you know, he's won Macau Grand Prix, Northwest's 200s, and he's done the Ulster. So he's in my eyes, he is a roads man.
Yeah,
not like full through. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you think of the product that comes along, it's not like let's just Gino Ria going, let's have a crack at the TD. Like, Jesus, this
he's not going in blind, is he?
He's going in far from blind. I think I'm looking like it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Just, it really will.
TT's a bit different though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I think, like, I know Macau is what it is, but and the Northwest is, and he's, what has he won, 3 or 4 Northwest now, hasn't he, Glenn?
Consecutive, I think, isn't
he? He's a daft question, being like an Irishman through and through, you know, to the blood. Do you reckon he'll still come back? We've talked about this all the way down on the drive.
I don't know, really. I don't. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I don't even really know much about it, to be
But
honest.
see, not many people do. That's the other side of it. It's just with the atmosphere that everyone's in and the way road racing is. To be blunt, road racing is struggling as a sport, but it's just like once almost something fails, it stays a failure at the moment as far as big events are concerned. But
I don't see why it should be. Do you know what I mean? Like roads, like it should be eligible to go more. So do you know what I mean? I know the TT, there's that many people there. That's fair enough. But the like of the Ulster and that. It's spread over how many miles of track. Do you know what I mean? Like there's fields. You know what I mean? The people are. I shouldn't see a problem with it running. Do you know what I mean? And trying to get back going.
And I totally agree. We are both sitting here. All three of us are sitting here. We do not know the political ins and outs of it. But you think, well, why is this not working? Why is this not happening? I'm devastated.
I've been to a Northwest a few times now. I've never been to a TT, never been to Ulster.
Have you not?
No. Do you actually pay to go to a road race, or do you just rock up like as in a spectator?
Ulster Grand Prix was one of the only ones where you pay to watch the Ulster Grand Prix.
Right.
How does that work logistically?
No.
It's along a road.
Oh no! So it's like like paddock access used to pay, like you get gates to go in and like program sales. It's like these events do cost money to get going. It's like same with the Northwest. When you go into the paddock, you've got to have a certain wristband.
Do you know, like say if you're in a random field watching it, how do the?
Oh no, you don't. You can do that for free.
Are you sure?
Well, I can go to a field, You might get shot by the farmer, but you can go to a field. But in essence, it's not like a closed gate situation like open parks and stuff like that. You can theoretically walk across a field and go watch.
I know it's like that at the Northwest and stuff. I was always under the assumption that at Ulster you had to pay to watch it.
Not like for like grandstand passes and stuff. But you see, that's probably one of the damaging things, because the show has got bigger and better, but that costs more money. It's like what we're talking about, getting structure into go racing. But yes, you can go watch anywhere on the circuit, and that is the appeal, is the fact that you can sit this close to a rider and watch them go around a corner. But there's a financial cost to that. But you think there is not a road racer alive, or if my God, I'm sitting here hoping that the Ulster goes, but if you ever go to watch, you'll go, this is just insane.
Another of the championships that you've won that we haven't really touched on is the Super Sport. Looking ahead for the next year, changing the rules quite a lot. Your Triumphs are coming in with the 765s. The Ducatis are eligible now. You've got there's been a bit of a changing of the guard in terms of like the older riders have all come through, and they're all sort of new like kids really, or a lot of them anyway. Is there any? What's your opinions on who's going to be the men to beat? Do you think this year?
I think the Colin Appleyard team runs an outstanding outfit, to be fair.
They've been unbeaten for
4 years,
isn't it? 4 years now, and I think
they'll take some beating.
Yeah, but in a sense, they've got two sort of apprentices. Do you know what I mean? Because is it Keelan or Rhys Irwin? Isn't it?
Rhys Irwin.
And he's came from winning an odd race in Superstock 600, got loads of pedigree, obviously.
Yeah, he's a mega rider.
And obviously Robin's seen a talent in him, which is fair play to him. Rather than sticking with sort of old guns, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which is nice to see. And then obviously Bradley Perry.
He's a local to you, practically. There you go.
I genuinely think he could be one to watch. He, sort of like on his old Yamaha.
What a job.
It was because my one of my boss that I work for, Adrian, he actually is friends with his dad, or there's some connection anyway. And he actually showed me pictures, and they building the bike on the bloody kitchen table. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's mega. That like
the lad's hungry for it. The whole family
and to do that on an old knacker. Do you know what I mean? And then he'll not know himself when he gets on one of these things. Like probably. I don't know, mine, whenever I rid for Appleyards, was 144, 145. So, like, with the new bike, I know the engine's similar, but there's better air intake and stuff like that. So, it'll not be far off 150, I'd imagine now. And, like, like, they are little mini super bikes. They're so fun to ride.
Just as we're speaking about R6 engines, Dom's trying to give a quick... Dom's trying to get to flog one.
Well, I was supposed to ride for like a team, and then anyway that the political blah blah. But I was promised, if you buy a spare engine, we'll do more racing. I bought the spare engine, all in bits, Vance 9 head, everything like that, full super sport, thinking I'm gonna keep the powder dry situation and go in full on, turn up the TD Northwest on a rocket ship. You know what I mean? That was the plan. But unfortunately, that's plans have changed, and I've got this R6 engine to sail in there because I'm not VAT registered or anything like that. I've had to pull I've had to buy brand new this, brand new that, full VAT and everything. But if there's anyone out there, or Keith, if you want to buy an engine, that'd be absolutely amazing.
Dom's got 8,700 quid in this engine, but so
it's not even turned. It's not even.
It's all brand new parts, so he's wanting to recoup as much. He's not expecting 8,700 back, but get as much as possible. So if anyone listens to that,
I'm desperate. Because I need. God, get the violin out, Chrissy. Here, but it's like I need that money in to go racing for this year.
The way you could look at it is, at least if you get injured, you could trade it in for an operation.
He's already knocked $1,000 off it.
I wonder if Dr. Funk wants a new R6.
God, but no, I need to get shot of that.
Keep my ear to the ground.
He's going to leave this studio. If anyone listens, he's going to leave this again.
Have you seen? Simon Buckmaster is running the Triumph team, like the official Triumph team, and he's got the American lad Brandon Pash and Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith's a World Supersport race winner, top pilot. So them two, it's a bit of an unknown because of the bike, but those two will be really strong. Who else is going to... Obviously, you've got
Ben Curry.
Ben Curry.
He's in McGill again. And who's his teammate?
Is West... I take it Westy's not staying.
No, Westy. I spoke to Westy the other night. He's not...
not racing?
No. He's just doing the World Endurance, isn't he?
Right.
Just same sort of circumstances as me. Not paying till to ride, do you know what I mean? Which is... fair enough.
Damn right. Yeah.
So I don't know who his teammate is. Then Jack Kennedy's back in, isn't he?
With Dave Tyson's team.
On a ZX6.
Oh, yeah. But that's, what do you call the Dickies man? The big Dickies man with the cool hat.
Big Dickies man with the hat.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
He's riding for Dave Tyson, though, isn't he? Of Bike Devil Kawasaki.
Yeah, but it's not just Dave Tyson, to be fair. Because it's something to do with... Is it Pete Jennings involved with that as well?
Pete Jennings runs he's the crew chief for that.
And the man from Dickies, I can't...
another thing, have you seen that Jack's running Mupo suspension as well this year, which is an odd choice for...
best advert ever.
Yeah.
Poster adverts. Anyway,
I think they have won a European Superstock Championship before, so I'm not trying to be degrading by saying it's an odd choice. I'm not saying it's a bad choice, but it's just for the standard Supersport frontrunners. Mubo hasn't been an established sort of suspension manufacturer in the UK yet.
I'm looking forward to this.
Time will tell, but I mean, the more you kind of mix the ingredients up, the sort of
I think it'll be mega. Do you know what I mean? They needed something, didn't they? Because Supersport was sort of trading out to the Motor 2 style bikes and this and that and the other, and even whenever I was in it, Seeley was on the Motor 2 one day, and it not got my back up, but sometimes at some rounds he was like, because his bike was that bloody fast, he'd park it in the middle of the corner and then shoot off, and because you're in Supersport you're trying to carry momentum. I used to do my nut in, to be fair. But
do you get on well with Seeley, by the way?
Yeah.
What's Seeley on with this year?
He hasn't got anything.
Nothing as yet.
He's got nothing yet.
No.
That's what I was saying. He was offering his services because he hasn't got it right.
Stop. He's working.
I seen he'd actually validated Glenn's car the other day, and I thought to myself, 6 months earlier they should have both been battling around the north coast.
Exactly.
At like 200 miles an hour, and that's
the thing. It's even though he has got the caliber to do it on the circuits as well on the 600,
he does.
It's because the Northwest last year and then this year again is going to be ruined. So that's in a sense is probably his financial income for the year, his main income. Do you know what I mean? Is gone, and it's horrible to see that. Do you know what I mean? I know circumstances change with obviously the whole COVID thing, but it's not nice to see people the like of
Do
himself. One being out of the job, do you know what I mean? And
do Do you know Seeley? Obviously, he's had a few years in stock 1000, like back on the relentless bikes and the Tyco bike and various things. He's had some really good seasons as well. Someone told us this the other day. I'm not. I'll have to fact check it, but I think he's had something like 17 podiums. And he's never finished second. He's always either one. He's had like something like 17 podiums and 15 wins or something. He's in like a couple of thirds. He's never finished.
That is quite a statistic.
I think the year that he went into it with the relentless Suzuki, I think he won nearly every race.
Because
that was the best.
Funny you should say that, right? Because there was a time hop on my Facebook today, and it was the race when he lost that winning streak, which was at Croft when Brogy took him out on the last corner, and then
then the Ducati blew up over the.
Scott Smart came through. Right. John McGuinness came through to win. Scott Smart was second,
biggest wheelie ever,
and then blew up over the line. I mean, what a action-packed race that was. I think that alone should be a good reason why we need to go back to Croft. I think.
Is any? I was about to say, what's your favourite circuit? Like, is any circuit that's have gone or anything like that? Or?
I've only rid Croft once, really. I actually rid it once last year at a test when Dan Linfoot organised a test and we went there. But I rid like a granny all day. And I enjoy Croft, to be honest. It is a proper track, but it's so bumpy now. I would say Donington probably my favourite track.
Right, even though it knocks your shoulders.
Like it's one of them. Like even Knockhill, even though the last time I was there, it broke my legs. It wouldn't faze me to go there again. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. I've won quite a lot of races at Knockhill, more than probably anywhere else. So like it's one of them. It's I don't have a particular track that I go, oh, I dislike that. Do you know what I mean? They're just all. I try to find the best part of every single track and just.
What's your least favourite track then?
Cartagena.
I don't know actually. Really, least favourite would be.
It's
take it or leave it job. It's one of those, isn't it? It's like what
when you love racing motorbikes, it's a bit of an oxymoron having a least favourite, isn't it?
No, but
I know what you're saying.
Like Snetterton I never thought. Like I went round Snetterton and went, hey, I'm over the moon. I drove 1,000,000 miles for this. It was like,
I know what you,
but I know what you mean though. It's like you're just happy to be out on a bike and bikes are mint, going fast is mint. This is mint. It's a left corner. This is mint. But you know what I mean? I wouldn't go if someone said you had to go to this track, I'd be like, right, well, Snetterton gets stuffed. I'd rather go there.
I know what you mean. I don't even know what I could say for that because, like, I enjoy a bit of them all. Do you know what I mean? Like Cadwell, it's very narrow and tight, but I love the mountain section. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them. Love the motocross style of it. Oulton, it's proper tight and technical in it, really.
I love Alton, but Alton doesn't love me. I'm shite round it, but I absolutely love it.
A bit the same, to be fair, recently.
Do you know, you mentioned restoring motocross bikes. Is it just motocross bikes you restore? Do you do road race?
No, I don't really tend to work. I can work on super bikes and stuff like that, but I don't...
Too much practice.
Yeah, when I was there for Birdie, I stripped far too many. So yeah, I love motocross bikes. I actually listening to Christian's podcast, I think it was his first one, maybe, was it?
Yeah.
And he just said, like, you know, his favourite thing was to love ride supercross and this and that and the other, and not to say I'd love to ride it, but I just like AMA for me is mega. Like it was on last night and I was watching this morning, and then just before it came out here.
Is that the supercross?
Yeah. And me and my daughter was watching it because she likes to sit up and watch it with me.
2 in the morning? Even though they say it's going to be on at 11, you're like, that gun, you lying American swines.
But yeah, like
Ken Roxon, what a...
I had quite a selection of motocross bikes there for a while, but now I'm down to, I had a YZ 250 2015 that I'd completely, when I broke my legs actually, I restored it. Then it's gone now back to Ireland. And then I've 1990 CR250 Honda that it's nearly finished, so it'll be in the pipeline for sale soon. It's not to keep.
I was about to say, is this like have you got like a Facebook page for this,
no,
or do people to follow you to find these bikes for sale? Or?
No, not really. I just like working on motocross bikes. I've ever since I worked that much on a bloody bike in Birdies, to be honest, and seen how well they maintain a bike. It's like literally bare frame after every single round. So for me to then be doing that, and now I've learned so much, and not that I couldn't, because my dad always brought me up that way, but it's another level. So now I'm with motocross bikes and stuff, like I'm just super anal with how it needs to be done. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
So like now I've bought basically an old scrapper of an 01 125 Yamaha, and it's literally it ain't clean at all, to be fair. And I'll be posting some pics on my story and Instagram and that soon. But literally it's going to be down to a bare frame. For anyone in the motocross that follows Doc Wobb imports and stuff like that, he was an ex-GP mechanic, and I've spoke to him to get some new triple clamps and stuff like that, and billet linkages and stuff. So it's
Is this being Chloe's homeschooling? Wow.
No, she does love bikes, and she actually, when we were out, we tried to get a walk out every single like Saturday and Sunday. You know what I mean? And because I'm flat out work, so it's hard for Sam to try and kill weeks, because obviously it's not fair on them. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But yeah, like she doesn't like to come to the shed with me. She should come for 5 minutes and spin a couple of wheels, and then she'd be bored. You know what I mean? As kids do, and she's more interested in the diggers in the yard than me bloody motorbikes. So
is there like 4 or 5 or something, Chloe?
Yeah, 4.
4, yeah.
So but yeah, like it's one of them. She loves bikes, and she always talks about riding bikes and this and that and the other, but when you start one in front of her, she like runs a mile. You know what I mean? So but
God love her.
She's all right. She's been riding horses and that, and
the dangerous things.
well, yeah, because her mum was into horses, wasn't she? Like, and bless her, she doesn't have her horse anymore, but and she's done a couple of riding lessons, Chloe, and I'm just like, oh, please, no, because
stick with the diggers. Stick with the diggers.
I'll buy a set of golf clubs or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit cheaper than a horse or a motorbike, but nah, they just grow up so fast, don't they?
They do, aye. Well, I think that's
no mint.
In fact, I've just thought of I'll have to check the Patreon questions. We're on it's like a social media for like the special fans. We should call them, and I'll just head over there.
Sorry about the fuel, so the generator full of. We're slowly hotboxing in here. It's like my eyes are stinging.
A little bit of smell of
petrol. Got two questions. Well, one of the questions is just a thumbs up from Mr. Ian Roderick and Ryan Garside. Random discussion topic:
Ryan.
Naughty/dramatic things top riders have done in the past, e.g., Caparossi taken Haradas out on purpose for the 250 GP title, or Agostini lying to Lawson about Marlborough cutting Funden, Rossi Marquez 2015 drama, etc. I think that's a can of worms that we'll be here all night talking about that. And other than you knocking Steve Brogan off, I'm just kidding.
I think the wildest thing I done was what was it? Oh, the scooter wheelie at Knockhill.
What was that?
It was on social media. I think Shaky, honestly, that was savage. Can you please put this in audible visualization for all our listeners? I want you to talk through exactly how you got talked into it. Was
this controversial?
No, not at all. It's just him being a dick. It's brilliant.
Proper, just whiskey throttle,
on the paddocks.
Yeah, I think it was the year I was riding a superbike. So you know what I mean, just one of them boys, if he can do it, I can do it a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? There was a bit of that, and Shaky, I can't remember Shaky. Do you know Wag is his mate? Mm-hmm. And Wag was like, yeah, we'll do this, do that, and all the rest. And my brother-in-law was there, and I can't remember who it was that done a little one, and so obviously sitting on stand, give it a bit of rev, rock back, and it catches, and then wheelie. And the first one I done was when it comes up, but it's just it just needs another inch, and then you're at the balance point and you're away. And I thought, fucking hell, I need a little bit more, as you do. And just as the next time, then obviously you do it the second time. Everyone videos then, don't they? That was the time it just went.
Honestly, this thing absolutely roofs me. How did people find this video? Was it Shaky Burn? Or did you share it? Or what did you do?
I can't even remember. I can't remember if it was Shaky the video. It was actually, because my mate that was there as well, he had a video of it, and obviously I had it and we shared between ourselves, and Birdie could not find out. He didn't find out. I literally took the scooter home and fixed it and repaired it between another scooter that was lying in the workshop and that, so he never found out of it. So
that wasn't really the worst of the crash damage that year, was it?
That was the minimum.
£1,000 scooter, I don't think would have been much of a difference in the scheme of things.
But that was his favourite scooter, mate. Simple as that.
But yeah, that was that's got some hits, that.
That is honestly, I was crying. You know, like, you know, when people over exaggerate these days. God, I was crying, laughing. I was physically in the van, tears rolling down my cheeks watching this.
It was good crack, to be fair. Like, you know, it's one of them things you just use the dickhead that just tries everything. Do you know what I mean? And that just sort of put in stone, like. Everything that I'd done that year was I just went and tried.
Mm-hmm. No,
good lad.
In terms of controversial things, though, have you ever like came to fight in Park Fermi, or has anything like that happened?
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
Must try harder, Keith.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
When he returns back to the paddock next year, he'll be like, "There's a booth."
I've had a couple of run-ins in Supermoto, whereas
here we go.
Like, I get on well with now and that, but back in the day, like, you know, young kid on the block, and just last corner, last lap job, someone went up in. It was actually over at Rowra, in Cumbria actually, and there's long right-hander. Someone went up the inside of Eddie Smith, and as he went up the inside, I went up the inside, and as Eddie had run wide and came back, when he came back, I was there and literally took the front wheel from under him, and he went down, and I never thought anything of it. I was just following another rider through. That's alright. Went across the line. We had to, because the track was still live, we had to wait for, you know, everyone to finish. Next thing, Eddie Smith comes across the line, and literally I turned round, and just as I turned round, he was there, and he went click. I'm like, alright. And
was this with a lid on or lid off?
Just literally straight in through goggles, and I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. And I was proper, like, chilled out kid then, like, and I never said anything, and my dad and everything went mental, and there was a bit of a kick off, and I can't remember what happened, but it never really went to anything else after that. But yeah, that was a bit the only thing. Other than obviously my run-ins with Andrew Irwin and Glenn and that, and other than that, it's never been...
On-track guy.
Yeah, on the track.
On-track crack, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That should have been a good name for the podcast, not just Chasing the Ranger.
It's like even,
on the track crack.
Even with the... I think Andrew put something on social media not that long ago, you know, about his passes and this, that and the other, and to be fair, I think his passes were mega. You know what I mean? Like, I would have done the exact same, and I think that's why we had sort of a...
mutual respect.
Yeah.
Aye.
And, you know, we sort of had it coming together because we had the exact same thought process. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if he was going to pull a hard pass, I was going to do it. Do you know what I mean? And that was just the way it worked. And it never really... It got dirty a little bit at the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? And on my side, to be fair, more than anything, then I ended up... I had a false neutral, took Ben Curry out, to be fair, by accident, which cost me a championship. Yeah. But other than that, no, not a great lot, to be fair. Just stay clean.
So going into this season, you've got, at the moment, we've kind of got two options: one on the Honda, one on the Kawasaki, and hopefully in the next sort of week or so, you'll find out what you're doing and get the wheels in motion, get started. And I know you said about the you're not a big fan of the whole GoFundMe page, but I'm sure if people are wanting to help out and stuff, they'll get in touch with you on your social media and stuff.
That's it.
We'll go and give yourself a plug. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, like just everyone out there, like, I appreciate the support, and people say like, oh, it's only £3 per person, you know, if everyone that's following me and gets this, but it's one of them. If it's gonna happen, it'll happen. Do you know what I mean? If not, we'll just mix it up.
And is it Keith Farmer 33?
Yeah, I think Keith Farmer 303 on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, to be fair, or Keith Farmer Racing on Facebook.
Right.
And that's the best way to get in touch with you. But no, awesome, absolutely awesome. But thank you so much for coming on again. It's always good crack. It's oh no, it's brilliant.
Brilliant. And a huge thank you to our patrons and our sponsor Colchester Kawasaki, and we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks very much.
Next week he's back on.
Not Keith. I just mean, like, I'm speaking to the fans at home, man. I will catch up with you sometime soon. Take care.
Click, buy, deliver with remote purchasing from the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.